In this video, we're going to give you a demo of some quarterfinal level athletes do 23.2A and B. We're going to give you tips and strategies. And also, if you want to win an Alexis Raptis 2-pood belt, you can leave a comment down below. And my friend Chris has winners from last week.
The winners from last week are Tracy Larson 08.
Yay, Tracy!
Scott Matthews 8207.
Not going to yell at me.
And Ghost in 96.
And real quick, because we did not talk about their scores in the actual demo, Perrin got 131 reps in the 15-minute AMRAP and then a 157-pound thruster. James was 133 reps in the AMRAP, and then he did a 247-pound thruster. Those will be safely inside the cut line, we believe, so those are good targets to shoot for this week. All right, well, we have the countdown. Should I count down since Max isn't here?
Nah.
Go ahead, do it, Mia.
Nah.
Do it.
Yes, I won't do it.
3,
no,
2,
forget Max.
1. Happy New Year!
All right, well, we have a fun, long one for you guys today, 23.2A.
So, wait, which one are we supposed to talk about? Pull-ups first. All right, so two very different strategies starting off here. We have James doing the jumping pseudo strict, and then Perrin is kipping from the beginning. What was your thought process behind kipping?
I was concerned about my arms blowing up and it not really paying off later in the workout, just global fatigue, being tired. So I figured if I just was very rhythmic from the beginning, I could sustain that technique. And I actually think it worked for me just with my level of fitness. And then at the very end, I changed my technique to speed it up. But interestingly, James, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but this jumping, I think he saved time, but he said his legs cramped twice.
Yeah.
And he said he thinks it's because of this.
Yeah, I think there are 3 different techniques that I so far have seen that worked well. It's the strict technique. If you're really strong and you don't feel like the jump's going to impact you, then you can do what James is doing. The kipping technique, which is essentially what you're doing, and then the mixed grip technique, which I saw a couple of people do with success as we were watching some heats go. So essentially you jump up and you're doing a mixed grip pull-up, and it's kind of a mix between a kip and a strict, but it allows you to switch arms so your upper body doesn't blow up in the burpee. But I do think that you're using a ton of extra effort by jumping every single time and on a pad. So for those that think they're getting closer to a pull-up bar, it's actually harder to jump off those blue pads that you see James jumping on. Just something to think about.
I think so. One thing that Mia actually told me to do or suggested before the workout, and I didn't do it until I got tired. If you are kipping, and you'll see me do it later, I kind of drive my knees up towards the end like a tuck position, and it popped me up so much easier.
That's how I used to do jumping pull-ups, in workouts that had it. Back in the day, you saw a lot of jumping pull-ups in CrossFit. Not anymore, but here they are again. Yep. So now we see the shuttle run. Sorry, Mia, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just going to say a couple reminders. We actually put a video out. It is on our Instagram page, so go and watch that. Just some basic tips, but run in a straight line. Don't do a huge loop. Some people are going to have a little bubble turn because they get tired, and that's okay, but don't do this huge loop outside of your lane. You're just wasting time. And then I would suggest making sure that you have the same footwork every single time on your cuts, just so you know exactly what you're doing in and out of each cut.
You can lose so much time by slowing down when you're turning around, and I think it wastes more effort. It's harder when you don't have the right timing of your footwork, and you have to reach further to the ground, and it's all awkward.
Ooh, the little zoom in technique by Chris there. Well done, my friend. It's like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
So you're both stepping up on burpees, which is probably smart. I don't think anyone jumped up here, right?
No, people are Alexis.
The whole time?
Yeah, there are a few, and especially that last round. I think that was one of the tips that I had for the burpee pull-ups is the last round, that's when you just have to sprint. So do a normal 2-foot jump and get up to the bar any way that you can. It's the fastest possible way. But the rest of the workout, to Perrin's point earlier, you're trying to figure out what's the sustainable pace that you can hold on to for 12 minutes of the 15-minute workout.
Yeah, I alternated legs just to make sure that one side of my back didn't blow up more than the other, which that happened anyway. But it was also very rhythmic. It's left, right, and I'm not focused on how uncomfortable the movement was getting.
Yeah,
I was just kind of almost on a metronome.
Perrin, you do a really good job of getting your chest to the ground quickly on burpees. You were actually making up some time on James. He would make it back up pulling, but your speed to the ground was really good.
Yeah, that's one of the cues that we always talk about with bar-facing burpees, too, is get your chest back to the ground as quickly as possible. It's so easy to kind of do the slow to your knee, then to your hands.
Did you see that veteran move right there?
Getting the chalk off the box,
Yep, smart.
Put it back.
Yep.
With the shuttle runs, at what point in the workout did you feel okay, my legs are starting to burn, or was it just breathing throughout?
It was breathing for me. The limiter on shuttle runs for me is my back blows up.
Yeah.
And so you can actually see me. When I turn, I put my hand on my leg, and that actually helps take a little bit of pressure off my back. It did start giving me trouble later, and I slowed down quite a bit on those. And I never really was going fast, but it's just something at this volume I had to manage. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was as much muscular fatigue. It was more my heart rate and breathing for sure, and I guess muscular fatigue in my back.
Sure. So just to give you guys some splits, if you watched Vellner and Roman go, we cut up some of Vellner's splits, and he started around 4 seconds per rep on the burpee pull-ups, but they dropped down to probably 5.5 seconds per rep on the 30s. So that's probably a normal deterioration. I think most people should probably start a little bit slower than that, just because he was moving relatively fast, but find a pace that you can hold, and maybe there's only a 5 or 10% deterioration throughout the workout, as opposed to some people that I saw that were like 4 seconds a rep and then to 8 seconds a rep at the end.
Yeah, I think it's always easy to go out a little hot in the beginning because the reps are smaller.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, oh, this feels great. But that set of like 20, 25 was, you just felt like you were in burpee pull-up purgatory. It was just
exactly.
like wouldn't end. Like I remember Mia counting to me, and I was at like 15, and I was like, I have 10 more. But that I think when you can find a rhythm and just focus on something that is not the movement, it certainly helps.
And then the same thing for the shuttle runs. Vellner started around 6 seconds per rep on the shuttle run, so down and back, and then he got to 8.6 seconds by the end of that. So he was essentially like almost doubling his time, or close to 25 or 30% drop off.
I saw so many people do that, miss on their jump, so...
Oh, there's going to be,
pay
I don't
attention.
want to spoiler alert. Did you see the one that I like flew off the bar with one hand?
Oh, yeah, that one made like my skin pringle, like everything got all...
I forget what set it is. I think it's
coming up.
Is it?
I thought
No,
right now.
It might be.
I just scared myself with them.
Sorry. It was.
So you're doing the knee tuck now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that strategy. I think it works really well, and it's faster than a full kip, you know?
Do you think it could be used in like a pseudo what James is doing?
That's
like
kind of
in between.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I would do. So if James is doing the strict pull up, I kind of kick my knees up right away, and it's just that little bit of, quote unquote kip style that gives you that velocity needed to get over the bar.
What do you guys think of if someone thinks that they can't hold what James is doing the whole time? Do you think it's okay to start like that and then just know when it's time you change to what Perrin's doing?
Yeah, so I've already given a couple people that strategy, especially for those that have upper body pulling strength. Start with strict and move a little bit faster, and then slow down and get into the kip rhythm for 20s and 25s. Once you get into the 30s, let's say that's your goal, then you go back to strict and just try to sprint that as fast as you can.
So James is
Power walking.
moving.
I
just a
can't judge
recovery.
him because this is what happens to me.
I mean, I think it's smart. Like, if you are I think it's smart to push through the burpee sets and try to maintain your speed, and then give yourself like, I'm gonna walk 25 after this, and that's my reward, I guess. For I think you'll lose more time going slow on burpees versus. Yeah, you did that a few times.
The separator is definitely burpees. You see the shuttle runs. There are a lot of shuttle runs. You can lose a lot of time. You can gain a lot of time. But if you slow down a lot on burpees, you're wasting so much time, especially from 20 and on.
What if I'm tired, coach?
Well, I started, so I'm like pretty blown up right now. So I started to rest before I came down to the ground. So Mia was complimenting me earlier about getting down to the ground, but I had to. But I'm pretty sure this set was still consistent.
Right.
So it might added another half a second per rep, but I stayed on that pace instead of taking long breaks. So it worked for me.
Was there any fatigue in your shoulders or chest, anything from the burpee?
I feel like my triceps started getting tired from the burpee for sure, but my pull felt fine, but I think it's just because I kipped the whole time.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely can save some of your upper body pull, but it's just a little bit slower. Like, you can see the difference in cadence. So again, for those that are really good with strict pull-ups or just upper body pulling, maybe start with James, and then for those that aren't, do Perrin's technique.
Something about James's burpee with his head hanging off the mat is just
bobblehead. That's definitely not the setup that I'd like to use, but the
Was
bar
it
is
because
super
the
high.
demo we just had to get y'all next to each other?
Yeah, the bars. There wasn't a James bar.
There
over
wasn't
there.
a James bar.
So if we weren't filming this, he would have just gone somewhere else.
Right.
Probably,
Okay.
yeah.
We did all this for you guys that are watching.
Yeah.
James did all this for you
Yeah.
guys. Let's not take it away from him.
I'll say another thing to think about if you do the mixed grip. Some people are saying not to use your grips, or I would say if you have grips with finger holes, actually use the finger holes
Yeah.
because mine don't have them and they flop around, and it's kind of awkward to go supinated and try to get that thing over. So
Would you say you should use grips on this? Like I noticed James doesn't have any on.
I think it's personal preference.
Okay.
I definitely would.
Yeah.
I think it helps me not like my grip not blow up, and I don't even have to think about it. I just kind of stick on the bar.
Yeah, I think if you're kipping and you're used to using grips kipping, then you should
Just makes sense to keep
yeah.
them on. Yeah.
Yeah, but James is like in his fingertips.
I noticed that. Yeah.
So you might not need them. I don't know. I'm not a strong enough puller to know what it's like in that world.
Yeah, I would say most people probably shouldn't pull from their fingertips. But I noticed 2 other guys doing that are also very good at upper body pulling. I think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like that rock climbing technique. Most people, that's going to really fatigue your forearms and probably your pull.
So 2.5 minutes left. It's almost over. Perrin, how are you feeling?
Oh man, I remember just really wanting to get to the shuttle runs and being like, okay, I kind of did the math in my head. I'm like, I know I'm going to do it. And then trying to get back even to the pull-ups in the shuttle runs. I was like, oh, I'm going to get back to the pull-ups too.
Oh, no.
And it's just that like mental, like, you know, it's going to hurt. And so I was like, just go as hard as you possibly can. But there's a lot of interesting self-talk, I think, in these last few minutes where it's like that can't or won't, but it's like weird because it's a burpee pull-up. It's not very fast. This is where I'm like, I need to go.
So if you had to rank this workout on a list of your favorite open workouts, where would this fall?
Ooh. I actually kind of enjoyed it in comparison. I don't like the high turnover sprint workouts. I like grinder.
Something grindy,
Yeah. And I think just based on my strengths, it actually played to my favor. So I feel like
This is a really good job by both of you picking up your pace. And this is what we're talking about. Like everyone knows this, but you have to like be diligent in the workout to know there's a minute left and I'm willing to go into the pain cave to get a few more reps.
I was definitely like trying not to question, is this going to impact the thruster? I think you just have to go for it.
Exactly.
People seem to recover better than I expected them to into the thrusters
I
with a
agree.
really short window.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going to say. Watching 2 heats go of like 15 people, the window is so tight. So you need to get to the barbell, switch your feet or change your shoes, whatever, add your knee sleeves quickly, and then at least get one light attempt in so you can get in a groove because the 5 minutes flies by.
Where'd y'all just hit there?
I hit 127.
James
think I just-
hit 135.
So neither of you
Dang,
change
shots
into
fired,
weightlifting
shots fired.
shoes.
I
Would you
did not.
recommend that?
I don't know. I had somebody go from runners to flat shoes, and I think that was important because
Okay.
the runners are kind of
Yeah,
weird and unbalanced. I had Chris K not change his shoes. I was like, "You've been resting too long. We don't have time for this."
Right.
But he missed his first rep. But I don't think it was the shoes. I think it was too heavy.
Shots fired.
Nice,
Shots
Perrin.
fired.
Look at that. Your face there
Look at
was
my
awesome.
face. I know that's
You're like, oh man.
that's my
So-
lifting face.
Perrin opened at 127, which I think I calculated that at 80% of your max. James took like a tweener lift, so I don't know if do we count that as his opener? I guess so.
Yeah.
The 135, which I don't know, was 50% or something.
I mean, I
but-
think that's smart though.
Oh,
As long as you have the time where you're not laying on the ground, do a light load first. Get yourself in a
You gonna get
groove,
it?
know what your front rack
Oh.
feels like, and then move from there.
And then you ended up hitting.
Oh, hey!
Frank, hey Frank.
All right, let's see if he can hit it. What is this, 185?
Does that
Nice,
count?
Frank. It does. I think it has to be off the ground by
Off
the
the
time.
ground, yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
That's good.
That was my last tip.
Yeah.
Off the ground before the time expires.
I think Lauren PR'd her thruster. I would not be afraid to be aggressive with the thruster.
For sure.
I definitely think if you have the fractional plates, use them, put them on the inside. You don't even have to think about it. But I think something like starting around 80% for most people is realistic. Like I had some people do a really lightweight, and I think it was just a waste of energy, honestly. But I think it's personal
Yeah.
preference.
Push yourself. Go for a PR at that last weight if you have time.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Good luck.
Good luck.
It's a wrap, you know what I'm saying? Your boy Project Patar in this thing, man. Hey, look, man, thank y'all for watching Training Think Tank's YouTube channel. Y'all hit that motherfucking subscribe button, you know what I'm saying? So y'all go ahead, man. Thank y'all for watching the channel, you know what I'm saying? Hit that motherfucking subscribe button. Let it be known, what it be known, what it be known, you know what I'm saying? Patar.